and Bobby Hemmett, especially for his time and his ear, when it came to expressing this information, I needed an ear to throw this information on, and also Sister Don Pompey. She sacrificed a lot because she'll tell you, I wake up reading and I go to bed reading. This is all I talk about. If you don't want to talk about this, we can have small talk, but it won't last for long. You see, I consider myself a warrior, and my mind is my sword. Okay, and I'm constantly sharpening that sword every day, every minute of the day, because this ain't no joke. You see, I'll give you about 2-3 years. If you think it's a joke, this white man's going to show you it isn't. You understand? And we should be doing certain things if the white boy is not around anyway, because evolution goes on. Evolution, the white boy, in terms of our evolution, has only been around that long. Okay? So, yeah, that much. So, what I'm going to talk to you today about is cycles. And cycles this topic will encompass karma, reincarnation, vibrations, what else? And the law of, or the principle of correspondence. Okay? So keep in mind the law of correspondence and the law of vibration. You cannot talk about evolution or cycles unless you understand the principle of vibration and the principle of correspondence. Okay, the first thing I want to start out talking about is the law of vibration. Now, for some of us, and for a lot of us, we already know about definition, but for the few who don't know much about the law of vibration, the law of vibration basically states that everything in the universe, down to the smallest minute particle, is vibrating. It's in a state of motion constantly. And if one atom were to stop vibrating, stop moving for one fraction of a second, it would disrupt the whole universe. That's how important vibration is. Okay? Also, let me do this here. It takes me a while to warm up. Once I warm up, we'll go. But for instance, spirit and matter, they're both of the same nature. The difference is in a matter of degrees of vibration. For instance, spirit, let's start with that first. Spirit is vibrating at such a rapid pace it's incomprehensible to even try to talk about it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But we can talk about matter. Matter is vibrating relative to spirit almost at it's almost at a stoppage. Okay, that's how low it's vibrating. Now, in between spirit and matter, you have millions upon millions of variations of vibration rates, frequencies. That's what we have there. Now, also, again, in order to talk about vibration, you have to talk about the law of correspondence. And it's sort of stated there in a sense, if you're looking at it properly, that the law of correspondence states that as above, so it is below. As it is in the macrocosm, also it is in the microcosm. Now, keep that in mind as I go along. If you don't have a strong understanding,
repeat that again, sir.
Which
what
part?
You just said.
As above, so below. The microcosm is a replica, of the macrocosm. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Before I go, I got to get my bearings here. Let me read this one thing to you. The earth is a living thing, just to show you how this law works, the law of correspondence. The earth is a living thing, and the laws which govern it are the same as those which govern the cosmos, the microcosm, and the man, the microcosm. At the time of the fall, when man fell from spirit, so did the planet. Keep that in mind. Because Mother Earth
is an entity, just like you are. It is governed by the same laws. You are governed by the same laws as Mother Earth. We are not connected with Mother Earth because we're not connected with ourselves. We're connected with the conceptual boundaries that this European has put on us. So we do not, have the connectedness with Mother Earth and look at her the way we should, as an entity that's evolving, that's under the same laws that we're under. For instance, the law of karma. Mother Earth is under that same law. She's under the law of reincarnation. She's under cyclical law. She's under those laws. She's under the law of duality. All of the laws that you're under, Mother Earth is under the same laws, as well as the universe, as well as the sun. The sun evolves. It has involution. It goes through involutionary processes and evolutionary processes, the whole 9 yards. Okay. We'll come back to spirit and matter. Let me see where I'll place this here. All right. Before I go on, most of you guys know what this, I've heard about this book and have read this book. For those of you who haven't, you need to get this book. This is called the Kabbalion. Kybalion. It's imperative that you get this book. Imperative. The Kabbalion. By who? The 3 initiates.
They sell them here.
Yes, matter of fact, they sell them here. Absolutely. And I'm going to recommend some other books to you that you should have. And a few of those books they do have here. If not, they can't order that book. But the Kabbalion is a must. You need to know, like Brother Bobby said, you need to know certain laws in order to help your evolutionary process. Let me start off here by dealing with, it's considered the cosmic day. You have here, as you can see, we have a cycle. All right? What we have here, let's say right here, we have what you could call the absolute, the all, the almighty. We're talking about God, the big G. All right? All right, God, you had a great breath, an out breathing, okay? And that gave you involution. This is when you have spirit and matter differentiating themselves from each other. All right, again, remember that matter is vibrating at a different rate than spirit. Now, as you move along this line here, let's say we're here, all right, matter is not as dense as it is at this point. Matter is at a very subtle state, being close to the originator. But as you move down to here, 180 degrees, I call negative, you have matter in its most densest state. Thank you. It's at its densest state, and this is where we are now. And spirit is limited in matter at this point. All right? And we can relate that to the physical realm, where we are right now. All right? As we have this out-breath here, well, I should get into that later, but we have different states of consciousness, different states of vibration moving along here. This is okay. I'll just keep these here. I think that'll make matters better. By the way, Brother Bobby Hemmett drew that for me. We'll get to that. Please stay up here. Please. God, please. Please. I hope that's not sitting. Okay. You think so?
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I don't want you. Will your arm be tired? Okay. Okay. Anyway, from this, let's say we're at this point here in involution. God, the Creator, has breathed out. What you have is, again, the coming forth of spirit and matter, going through its evolutionary state beginning. Right here, you have man, you have woman, okay? And what I'm saying here, man and woman has always existed. There was never a time where man and woman did not exist. All right, but we existed in a different state. We did not have, just like the earth did not have a physical body. We weren't as dense as we were, but we had a different type of body. It was more subtle, more ethereal. And okay, but anyway, as you go down, you have matter condensing, becoming much more dense, and you end up here where we are today. All right, once we reach this, once matter and spirit reaches this point, then there's a process of evolution. That is called the in-breath. Here is the masculine, the active aspect of this cycle. Here is the inactive, the feminine side, where you're drawing, where spirit, here you have spirit descending into matter, and here you have spirit coming out or ascending back to the original. And this is the most basic, this is the foundation for any cycle. There are many other cycles going on at this time. As God breathes out, you have worlds, you have men, you have women, you have nations, you have, the sun, you have the moon. But when God breathes back in, all of these states, which is a dense state right here, begins to become much more subtle, until you have nothing but spirit again. And what's really going on is that spirit is going through an evolutionary process, and you're going along for the ride. You see? So we'll deal with, and I consider this a cosmic day, and you have many cosmic days. You see, it's infinite. God is infinite. Okay? Let me do this and come up with this. This is another good illustration of how you have spirit descending into matter. And the reverse, well, we can also say the higher aspects, the spiritual descending into matter, and the lower, the reverse, matter descending back into spirit. All right, there's more. Okay. I can tell I'm not warmed up yet, but I'll get there. I'll get there. All right. Another illustration of a cycle. You have the great year. Just like we have a great year. Well, a great year. Well, I guess you could call it a great year. For instance, a year, what constitutes a year? What constitutes a year in terms of Earth years is that you have the rotation or our Earth revolving around the sun. That takes, what, 365 days? Okay, and what? Okay. All right. Anyway, it takes that long for our Earth to rotate around the sun. Okay, and we have what, 12 months? Yeah. All right, we have 12 zodiac signs. All right, now let's deal with the great year. The great year happens every 26,000 years. All right, in round figure. All right, to come to this point, it takes 26,000 years. And what's really going on here is that as our Earth is rotating around the sun, our sun is rotating around a much larger sun, which is called Sirius. All right, I know some of you Egyptologists heard of Sirius. All right, so it takes 26,000 years for our sun to rotate around Sirius. Now, as our sun does that, it's going through 12 classrooms. It's learning lessons as you are learning lessons here on this earth plane. All right. What it is doing is going through each one of these constellations as it is rotating around the Sirius star. And each one of these constellations Well, as it passed through each one of those constellations every 2,160 years. All right, we were what? We were in the Piscean age. Some say we're in the Aquarian age. All right, we were in the Aryan age, and the Piscean age came about the time of the birth of Christ. Okay, and we know that this is related. Aries is related to the lamb, to the lost sheep. And that is because of the symbol of the ram, the lamb, you're getting out of Aries. And then we have Pisces, what? The fish. Okay? And again, this is what's going to be causing all of that energy that you were talking about earlier, that we're moving into the Aquarian age. And then also there's a much larger cycle that has an influence on this 26,000 year cycle. There's a cycle that's 312,000 years. You multiply this by 12, and you get 312,000 years. So we have even a greater cycle that we're going through. But again, going back to the cosmic date, that's the largest cycle. Okay, and you have many more smaller ones below that, or within that. Okay. Still up and stay up. That's great. All right. Let me deal with this cycle here. This is called the Hindu cycle. And we know when you talk about Hindu, you're actually talking about us in terms of the knowledge coming out of the Indus Valley civilization. This Hindu cycle consists of 4,320,000 years altogether. You start out here with the Krista Yuga, which is the golden age. It lasted 1.7 million years. This is when man was pure spirit. We did not even have an astral body at this time. Now I'll deal with the astral body. I'm pretty sure we were basically just pure spirit. Here we have the Silver Age, which is 1.2 million years. I can't remember what I had on that. Well, let me deal with that. Okay, here it is. All right, this is the period of supremacy of man, giants, and the sons of God at this point here, the Silver Age. After that, you have the Bronze Age. This is a mixture of purity, impurity, spirit, and matter at this point. And then that brings us to where we are now. This is called Kali Yuga. The Iron Age, actually what they call the Dark Ages. Okay? This will last for 432,000 years, but it doesn't affect all races of people on this planet. From what the white boy says, it's really affecting the hell out of him, you see. And I think we'll getting some of the effects of how it is dealing with him. I'll take this down since it's trying to give me a little trouble. And this here too, and that there too. I think Brother Bobby read you something once. Did you read something dealing with the Kali Yuga in terms of what the ancestors were saying about it?
No, that was purge of the thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
The prophecy.
Okay. Now here's what your ancestors said about Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
There will then, in Kali Yuga, be contemporary monarchs ruling the earth. Kings of curly soul, of violent temper, and always turn to falsehood and evil actions. They will inflict death on women, children, and cows. They will take away the property of their subjects. They will possess but limited power. Nor will they, as a rule, reign for a long time, but will rapidly rise and fall. Their lives will be short and their ambitions insatiable, nor will they have much piety. Do we know who these people are?
Come on.
The people of the various countries intermingling with them will be similarly corrupted, and worthless men holding the patronage of the princesses, while the nobler are neglected, the people will perish. Wisdom and piety will day by day grow less, and finally the entire period will be depraved. In those days, property alone will give rank. Wealth will be the only cause of devotion. Mere romance of passional nature will be the sole bond between the sexes. Falsehood will be the only means of success in litigation, those Jews. Women will become objects of sensuous attraction only. The earth will be venerated for its minerals solely. Who in the hell does that sound? This was written a long time ago.
That's probably a couple of 1,000-year-old prophecy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right to the day.
Absolutely. You can find this in esoteric tradition. There are 2 volumes. The 2 volumes are $19 together. And it's worth all of the money, even though this white boy's crazy. You gotta watch him close, because he's just a little crazy. All right. Now this is what I like. I call this 180 degrees negative, looking at this cycle. Like Brother Bobby said, the same cycle that brought you down or brought you up will be the same cycle that will bring you down. Okay? And if you look at Kemet, we'll use Kemet and put it there, and we'll have Lemuria and Atlantis all up in here. We know that the white boy, he didn't come around. If you take a vertical line and put it right here, right through here, the white boy didn't come around until about there. You see what I'm saying? We had a history that extends all the way up to the ceiling and further on a vertical line. Now, Kemet being here representative as the mouthpiece of a world where black men and women ruled. That was a world where we had heaven here on earth. And heaven is depicted to me as order, okay? Harmony, peace, love. Whereas in America, being here, now you remember earlier we talked about as you move through a cycle, you have gross, dense matter here, okay? And America is quite symbolic of that. It's very gross, it's very dense, where spirit is limited in the grossness of America. All right? So America being the mouthpiece of Europe, okay, because we all know Europe still runs, you know, especially England, is still running everything. America being the mouthpiece of Europe represents hell. And hell is chaos. That's why we're all confused. That's why we can't figure out how come our kids are not getting educated, because they're not, they're supposed to be in a chaotic state. There's not supposed to be any harmony, none whatsoever. The white boy will not allow that. Also, in Kemet, they understood the law of duality. If you have the visible, you must have the invisible. Simple as that. Okay? The laws, well, anyway, in America, anything that's tangible, material, that's what you believe in. And we know this is illusionary. Right. And we know by itself, it ain't nothing. You see what I'm saying? All right. In Kemet, there was a balance between the material and spirit. There's nothing wrong with the material. You see. But as long as you have the spirit, there's a balance. All right? All right, a lot of times when we say we have the spirit, yes, we have the spirit, but it's lopsided because we have the material up here. All right? That's what's going down. All right? Also, again, we know America is quite material, matrilineal. All right? Africa was quite matrifocal, where here in America, patrilineal. And that's why most of us men act so foolishly. You see what I'm saying? All right, you're rewarded for acting masculine, you know, where a woman is rewarded not for being masculine, not in this day and age. I mean, not for being feminine. She's rewarded for being masculine. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
All right? That's correct. Now, also in Egypt, Kemet, we have Ma'at, reciprocity, order, justice, the whole 9 yards, righteousness. But in America, disorder. Everything is disorder. You show me any harmony in America. All right? Show me some. I want some, because I've been looking for it all my life here in this country. Now, then the black man, black woman ruled. We were dominant throughout this world. America, you have the white boy. All right, we'll call him a man. We'll let him call himself a man. But he is the minority. he takes up only 10% of the world's population, but he controls 80% of the wealth. Now, we're either crazy or he is really smart. No, he's devious. He's deceitful and he's tricky. All right? That's how he got his dominance. Because one brother, he says, well, if we are 90% of the population and he's 10%, how is it that he controls everything? It's his nature, deceitful and trickery. Whereas in Kemet, truth, you have to be truthful or you couldn't live in that society. You know, that we don't have to pump each other up on that. We know that's the way it was. We know that. 180 degrees negative. But again, the same cycle. Here's the white boy. Here's where we are now. Engrossed in physical matter. But we know the same cycle that brought you here. Now, this is a short period of time. All right? We know the same cycle that brought you here is the same cycle that will bring you back up. And the white boys know that. Come on. We're the only ones who don't know it. And so that's why they're getting ready. That's why they wrote these books. Theosophical Society. Secret Doctrine. Read it. This white boy stuff, you get over the crazy stuff. You still can learn some things because they went all around the world in the latter part of the 1800s and stole everything they could. You see what I'm saying? And like Brother C. Freeman L. says, while we were busy in the cotton fields, the white boy was busy stealing who you are. That's right. Your identity. All right? And so he knows what time it is. He's all into this esoteric stuff. Believe me, boy, he's been into it for a long time. He plays dumb. But he knows what time it is. We just don't know what time it is. See, because a lot of times when we think about revolution, we see guns. You see what I'm saying? We see the physical act. But I'm going to tell you something. The white boy did not dominate you by guns. He dominated us through satanic energy. You see what I'm saying? That's how he did it. Most people think the white boy is doing this because he wants more minerals. He wants to take over Africa. That's only part of it. Satanic energy. And the white boy, he is dealing with this esoteric stuff, I mean, to the max. All right? But anyway, 180 degrees negative. Crazy white boy.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the satanic energy? Because, in relationship to balance and order and cause and effect, how can satanic energy dominate, mind and truth? How does that happen?
Because we don't have it now.
Well, again, if you look at what I was talking about in terms of the time, the cycle that we're in at this point. Now, it's not a matter, it's almost like the sun being up at 12 noon, dominating the sky. But at a particular cycle, that sun is no longer visible, but it's still there, but the darkness dominates. Same principle. Okay?
Yes.
All right. All right, I got another one for you.
Come with it.
Okay.
Come on with it.
Okay. All right, evolution. Man, tell you what. Well, I've learned from this situation. I'm going to put some boards behind you next time. But anyway, I want to explain this to you, and then we can get into evolution a little bit more deeply. And cycles, basically. Again, when you talk about cycles, you can't really speak about cycles unless you talk about karma. What is the other term? Reincarnation, vibrations, but primarily karma and reincarnation. Now, here, you remember when I first talked about the cycle of the cosmic day, where you had nothing but spirituality. All right, and what we're talking about, degrees of consciousness and degrees of vibration in terms of its frequency. Now, at the beginning of this cycle, we can deal with pure spirit. Then you're talking about the spiritual body. This is when you begin to, where man begins to take on a vehicle. The soul, the spirit begins to take on a vehicle here. All right, then after this here, go ahead. Hello, good man. All right, then manas means mind. All right, the mental aspect. Okay, these are the thoughts of God. Okay, this is the mental plane. Also, as matter, as spirit descends, it descends, and finally you have the astral level. Okay, which is vibrating, where matter is vibrating at a much lower rate than here. Because actually here, you're talking about pure spirit. Okay? As you go down, matter becomes much more dense until you get down to the physical body, which is very dense. Thus, the spirit is encased, limited. And that's what the spirit wanted to do. That way it could learn its lessons. So when it comes back up through the evolutionary process, it has generated more creative power. So when it goes back through the evolutionary process, you see it has much more creative power, and then as it goes back up, it's learning lessons. When it goes down, it's learning lessons. When it gets here, it's like, this is what I learned. All right, and then it comes back down. Now, again, going with the law of correspondence, let's look at the microcosm. Okay? As this is going on, the universe is being created. The earth is being created. The suns, the various suns are being created. And they're in these different states until finally you have the sun in this state. What you see, the physical aspect of it. All right? So, let's look at these here. You have, let's deal with this here first, the physical body. The physical body is, again, the densest level. Here is the etheric double. You have prana, which is your vital energy, and you have a whole different level. This right here is called the desire level. Okay? This here, the astral. I sort of lost my point here, but the physical body is made up of what? You have a solid, relatively speaking. You have a liquid, you have gases, and you have 4 etheric gases. Okay? Material, rather, not gases, but material. Now, we know that solids, relative to a liquid, is vibrating at a much lower rate than a liquid. Okay? That's the biggest difference between a liquid and a solid. For instance, ice. Ice, that state, is vibrating at a very low rate relative to liquid. And so, if you put heat to it and change the movement of the molecules, where they're moving much more quickly, you end up having what? You have a liquid. Okay? All right. You rev up the heat a little bit more, and the molecules begin to move even more quickly. What do you have? Gas.
Yes.
All right? Those 3 things we can see. All right? We can see those 3 things. But this here, I said the body was made up of solid, liquid, gases, but it's also made up of ether. All right? Same as the planet Earth, the Earth herself. And so we are the embodiment of the same laws or the same principles of Mother Earth herself, because she's made of what? Solids, liquids, the whole 9 yards, and she's made of ether. She's made of prana. Prana is the vital energy that's in your food, your live foods, and that is in the air that you breathe. All right? That's prana. All right? These 3 here are of the physical realm, as you can see here. And what we're basically talking about is different vibratory rates and states of consciousness. And keep states of consciousness in your mind, states of matter as well. This is what we're talking about. This is very important. Now, the physical body is what you need to sustain yourself and interact, meaning your higher self. Your higher self can interact with with Mother Earth only through the physical body. Now, your true body is not what you all see here in front of yourselves, or you stick your hand out there. This is who you really are on the physical plane. This is where you get your energy from. All right? For instance, the etheric double, for a lot of you who understand chakras or don't understand chakras, but it's just the same. Chakras are, your etheric body is where your chakras are located. Okay? These are quite subtle. And let me explain this. As I said, you have, the body's made up of seven levels. And once you get to ether, you cannot see it. Okay? Once vapor goes to another level, you can no longer see it. Okay? And what's happening is going into the etheric realm. All right? But it's still there. Same way with the physical body. The physical body is made up of those four levels, 3 levels rather, and it has an etheric double that correlates with the Earth's etheric atmosphere. Okay? All right, and so when you die, I talked about this last night on the radio, when you so-called die, what's happening is the physical body is so dense and the matter is vibrating so low only because the physical body is for this particular physical realm only. And so the real you, when you're ready to leave, you shed this physical body because you cannot take it with you. You can't take dense matter, you know, into a much more subtle realm. And here's where we go. Here. When you leave this earth plane, you go to the astral plane. And let me say, this physical plane has, speaking of the earth, has 7 levels to it. Okay? It has 7 levels. This here has 7 levels to it. And as a matter of fact, the earth has 7 bodies. You're on one of those bodies right now, and those bodies are considered energy centers. Also classrooms. Okay? Right now, your life on this earth is you're within a classroom learning lessons. Okay? And the earth, again, has 7 bodies, and that is considered an earth chain. And as you're on one body here, when you move to the astral plane, you're on another of the earth's bodies. Also, this is another body of the earth. Okay? Anyway, let me see where I want to take this. One of the things that we need to understand is that when we leave this earth plane and when we go here, after we leave karma, we go to manas, the mental plane. And from here to here to here is a half a cycle. All right? Then you go from here right back down to the physical level. All right? And so that constitutes one cycle. Many of us in this room have gone through this cycle a number of times. How many times, I couldn't begin to say. But when you leave the physical body, you end up on the astral plane, and who you are in terms of consciousness determines what level you're on when you hit the astral plane. Because, for instance, there's 7 levels to the astral plane and 7 sub-levels to the astral plane. And as I said on the radio last night, most white people you'll see on the last plane, on the sub-level of that plane. Okay? If you are very materialistic, and that's where your heart is, your mind is, your energy is, when you leave this plane, dealing with karma, what you sow here on this earth is what you will reap on this plane. Okay, so if you're at a certain consciousness level, and you're into just sex and partying, hey, they got a party for you here. You see what I'm saying? You can party all day here. I mean, honestly, you can party all day here. Because here, you're not restricted by the physical body. Your desires are not. This is the desire plane. Your desires are not restricted. So anything that you want to do in terms of desires, you will be able to do on this plane, because this is the plane of desire. All right, this is the plane where, and let me say this before I go on. All of these planes here are on the same, basically the same level. The physical plane is the lowest level, it's the most condensed level. That's why it's the smallest. But if you go on up to this level, it's much larger. It extends, it penetrates the earth, and it also goes up to the moon. All right, that's how far it extends. And plus, it deals with the circumference of the earth. All right, the mental plane extends even further, but it's also moving along. It's also on this level too. So what we're talking about is that the astral plane interpenetrates the physical plane. This is considered the fourth dimension. This is the third. This is the fifth dimension. This is the sixth. This is the seventh dimension. So we actually do have dimensions. Right now, the astral plane, there are those on the astral plane walking right through you now. All right? They are doing their thing as we're sitting here. Also, as we're walking, doing different things, my hand moving, I might be going through someone right now.
Are they aware of us?
No. It depends on the level. Now, on the physical level, where the white boys are, the sub-level of the last level, they can see here. Okay? Not in most cases, but in some cases they can. One of the things on the astral plane, one thing about the astral plane is this. This book right here has an astral corresponding astral body on the astral plane. You see what I'm saying? So the white boys, they're up there on the astral plane, and some of us on that sub-plane, and we are building houses. We're going through whatever type of lifestyle you had on this plane, and if you're very materialistic and dwelled on that, those things, that's what you will do up there. But the thing of it is, you don't have to do it up there. Like, for instance, sleep. You don't have to sleep up there. You don't need a house up there. You don't need to work up there. You don't need none of that. See, this is an illusionary position here we're in. White boy got us working for some money, and it's ridiculous. The only thing that you truly need to do on this earth is let your body and your mind and your brain rest. That's the only thing you need to do here. Because actually, you don't have to eat. You see what I'm saying? All right, and up there, you definitely don't have to do anything. It's a matter of consciousness. You see what I'm saying? Just like here, we're doing a bunch of crazy stuff because our consciousness is on that level. And your consciousness, considering where your consciousness is now, when you leave this earth plane, it's going to stay the same. So when you go here, you're still going to be crazy. You know if you're crazy. You see, you'll find people up there building houses and doing all types of stuff, sleeping, thinking they need to sleep. But, they don't know any better. So it takes some of us who have the power to go up there and say, hey, brother. But just like we do down here, you start telling the brother what he needs to do. No, man, I got this car, man. I got this. No, I don't want to hear. It's the same
Astro like what they're explaining Beetlejuice. Similar to looking at Beetlejuice movie.
Yes, in a sense. White boy's always telling you the truth. Yeah. He's always telling you the truth. Just a matter of consciousness. But on that plane,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
When you reach that common level, that fourth level there, it's not going to be the same as this level here, this physical level here on Earth, is it? Like as far as, like you say, people will be doing whatever they were doing here. You won't physically see that.
It's
a mental thing.
It's a mental
It's a
thing.
mental thing. It's
like
not
closing
that.
your eyes.
It's not that way, but it's if you don't know you dead. Some people can't accept the fact that they're dead. They say with a lot of men that have egos,
Right.
and they go, oh hell no, I'm not dead because they're mad, because they're dead. And the same thing that you had that same ego in, that nobody can tell you nothing. Well, the spirit couldn't tell you anything too. So you go ahead doing the same stuff, and it's only a mental illusion.
Okay.
Right, it's a mental thing. Because basically, we're living in an illusion right now.
That's right.
So it's a matter of your consciousness. You see, because every physical sense that you have a corresponding astro sense as well. So if you had, for instance, your third eye open and you were able to use your astral sight, you would be able to see that this is an illusion. Do you see what I'm saying? You would be able to see that. All right. And but also, let me make this point I did with you, that you have helpers coming from the physical realm to wake brothers and sisters up. All right, and you also have some from a higher realm than this realm here, coming down to wake brothers and sisters up. See, you can be up on the astral plane walking around, and you'll see a brother sitting over there just nodding out, you know, sleeping. And all of a sudden, you'll see him disappear. What happened was consciousness, some form of consciousness hit that brother. And as soon as it did, he moved to another level. You see what I'm saying? That's what happened. Yes, sir.
Oh, I was going to ask for a better understanding. When we do exercises like with the tarot cards or the meta-mental cards or Ouija boards, are we interacting with that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And see, those cards and everything is basically instruments, just like instruments. You really, they're supplemental instruments, and some people don't even need them. There's a point where you don't need, you know, the tarot cards. You don't need any of that stuff, because what those things can do for you, you already have inside. For instance, like I said, if you open up that pineal gland, you open up everything that's necessary, you'll have clairvoyance. You'll have telepathic abilities, the whole 9 yards. You'll be able to look into the future, but it depends on your consciousness. You'll be able to look into the past. You'll be able to get answers to a lot of your questions. You see what I'm saying? So your best tarot card users or psychics, they need to have the psychic ability to go along with it, and it makes them a lot more effective.
Take fences.
Let me do that question first.
How can we open up the third eye? I've heard some say you have it when you're very young and it closes, or something happens. How do you open
When
up
you
the
go to
third eye?
elementary school.
Well, the thing of it is, the thing of it is,
Elementary school.
in your last life, and I would say that you lived here on this earth plane before, I would think that your third eye was open at this point. Okay, at that point. When you take on a new physical instrument, body, you have to go through the same processes to open back up that third eye, because you have a new vehicle. All right, the best way to do that is through meditation. All right, matter of fact, that's the only way to do it safely is through meditation. And what you're actually doing, thank you, sir. Can you get another? Because that one side, this is giving me trouble. But meditation is, and what meditation basically is doing for you is raising your consciousness. All right, you remember I had the circle from the very beginning, the cosmic day. Now, I could have drawn a vertical line, you know, coming from north to south, and depicting the human vertebrae. You see, as spirit descended into matter, it's the same concept as your energy, or the real you, descending into gross matter, ending up in the root chakra. Huh? Okay. So it's a matter of raising your consciousness. And as you, because matter of fact, that's what Kundalini means, consciousness. And so as you raise your consciousness and open up each energy center, matter of fact, you take the 12 planets. Of those 12 planets, we'll just deal with 7. And each of those 7 close.
Hey, the Spirit provides.
I haven't seen one of those in years. Thank you. That's going to bring me luck. You're bringing back something old. Okay. But as you open, okay, those 7 planets, we'll just use 7 out of the 12 are energy centers, and the Earth is being an energy center equal to your heart chakra. Okay? That's why the Earth is green, the heart chakra is green. Okay, the color for it is green, rather. But anyway, as you raise your consciousness going through each energy center, you see, you're opening up those energy centers. And then eventually you open your crown chakra, and then there's a marriage between the root chakra, the lower part, and the higher self, and that third eye come open, and you'll be able to, you know, see it and do whatever you're talking about. But the only way you can do that is through meditation and study. I got to put study in there. You got to read too. Yes, sir.
Going back to something earlier, you said you went from the 7th, the physical, to the 3rd, and then you said back down to the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So Are you saying that once you go to that level, that you come back to the physical level again?
Well, see, the thing of it is, I'm not staying with my notes here, and if I stay with my notes, it would be a little bit more clear, but I'm glad you asked that because it's drawing my memory here. It's putting me in line. See, one of the things we're dealing with is reincarnation. Okay, when you go from here to here to here, this is a learning level for you. You learn as much as you can. You're given so much force, so many breaths for this physical realm, so much energy. All right, just like strumming a guitar string. You know, you put so much force to it, and then it vibrates, and then it no longer vibrates. Okay, after you use up that vital energy, you leave this plane and you go to a much subtler plane. Okay, and from here you learn lessons. All right. When you become conscious of certain things, you raise up to another level here. You raise up to another level here. Now, your stay here depends on how much desire elements you have picked up here on this earth plane. You see, if you don't have many, you go directly to here. All right. Now, this is, pardon me?
Which go back to sins.
Sins.
Sins. Your sins has a lot.
Well, it's a matter of consequences. It goes back to karmic law. You know, cause and effect. It's not, again, I don't like to deal with sins.
Well, I use the word sins.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming
from. Your mental thought pattern.
Right. It's dealing with your thoughts. And,
Yeah.
and that's the primary thing. I know you had a question. I want to get back to it. This here is called the Devachanic plane. Okay? This is Devachanic plane. This is meaning the heaven world. This is where you go. You see, this is your heaven. Right here. All right? And you will go here and stay there depending on how lofty your thoughts were here on this earth. If you were quite spiritual and you had lofty thoughts, you will stay here for quite some time. This is where your soul really get a chance to rest before it comes back down. Your soul needs rest after coming out of this mess. You see what I'm saying? It needs a lot of rest. So where you are here, now this has 7 levels and 7 sub-levels of each level. Where you are here depends on what type of thoughts you had down here. You see what I'm saying? So my biggest reason for showing all of this, because you can change, you know, your karma. You can change it here, meaning your consciousness. All right? And so you get here, and this is your heaven. Like, for instance, on this plane here, to show you how heavenly it is. Let's say you have someone here on this earth plane you really love, and they're still here. And they had some sort of defects, you know, the personality or what have you, something you didn't like about them. But you still love them. You did it here on this plane. And you can bring them up there with you here. All right? And whatever you picture them as being, that's what they will be. Because this is heaven. And heaven wants you to be happy. You see what I'm saying? They want you to be real happy. And so when you have shedded or fulfilled your needs here, you are drawn back to the physical plane because you have more lessons to learn that the physical plane needs to teach you.
Yeah. Will you remember the previous time that you were on the physical plane?
Huh?
Will you remember the first time or the previous time that you were on the physical plane?
Again, that depends on your consciousness.
So if you get to a certain conscious level, something you can remember previous time here.
Yes, because it's in your collective subconscious that's based here.
Okay.
Okay? It's there, and when you open that up, all of your lives are open to you, and you'll be able to see them. Now, when you die, so-called die here on this physical plane, as soon as you die, when they say that you're clinically dead, you're not actually dead. What's going on? All of your vital forces in your body and your mind, because your mind is all over. Okay, this is only your brain. All right, all of that those vital forces will rush up into your brain. Okay, and you will get a panoramic view of everything that went on in this life term. You see, and it will happen just like that, down to the most minute detail. Why? Because you're down here to learn lessons. So you get a chance to look and say, well, okay. Because if you try to go through it through your mind right now, you have a problem trying to remember it all. But as soon as when you leave, when you die, there's no restrictions. And so you learn a lesson. So when you get here and you're ready to come back down to the physical plane, the same thing happens. You go over everything you learn from here to there, and you come back down, and you use that knowledge to help you, fulfill your karmic lessons here on this physical plane. Now, when you have learned all the lessons that you could learn on this physical plane going through here, then you just stay at a higher level. You don't reincarnate back to Earth, but you have to wait on us. That's why you come back down to help us. Because you got, see, that's the biggest, right, we're together, ain't no everybody's everybody. You see what I'm saying? You have to wait on us to come. So that's why it's always a benefit to help your brothers and sisters, even once you leave this plane, because you have people just like Brother Elijah Muhammad and a lot of these great leaders and brothers and sisters. They were already in the heaven world. I mean, they didn't have to come back, but they volunteered to come back, or they were asked by someone higher. You see, because on each one of these planes, you have what you could say guardians, guides, the whole 9 yards. Matter of fact, they help manufacture your physical body before you come down to this plane. You see what I'm saying? And so they volunteer to come back down to help. A number of us in this room have volunteered to come back down. Now, if you were, you will know sooner or later in this life plane. Let me just about you got a lot of questions, but you're going to ask something earlier.
I have a question. I was in a meditation group last Friday, and this brother was meditating, and the person that was directing it said, let us know what you went through. So this brother said that he couldn't feel his body. And so he asked, why? So he said that what he experienced was like death. So, and I know that some people leave their bodies like children. When you talk to them, it's like they're not theirs because they left their body. Do they go on the astral plane?
Oh, yes. Let's put it this way. They're no longer on the physical plane. Okay? Because one of the things we got, the real you is here, here, here. That's you. That's the inner man, the inner woman on these planes here. All right? When you reincarnate, what reincarnates? These reincarnate back into a vehicle. All right? And so when you leave the physical body, automatically you're on another level. Automatically you're there. Matter of fact, when you go to because you don't need the physical body anywhere else, you only need it here. So when you leave it, that only means that, well, I'm going somewhere else and I don't need that physical body anymore, to go there. Because matter of fact, the physical body can't go there anyway. It's just like trying to take luggage that you don't need, that can't go in the first place, and there you are trying to pack it. And then when you take your trip, you say, oh, damn, I left my baggage. You don't leave it, it couldn't go. It's the same thing, with that. Now, the thing about, it was something I had in my mind, and I just lost it. I just lost it. Okay. But anyway, this is what reincarnates. I know what I wanted to say. In terms of, now I was here we're talking about the individual in terms of reincarnation, the whole 9 yards. Now let's look at the planet Earth. The planet Earth is reincarnating, it's going through cycles the whole time, every time. Okay? There was a point when the Earth was only this. It was only astral. There was no physical Earth. There was no such thing. That was in the process of development. All right? The physical comes out of the astral, and the astral comes out of the mental, and so on and so forth. All right? And this is the last level, the most densest level. And the thing of it is that the Earth was here at one point, so that meant that you were here at this point. You did not have the physical body. So all of the faculties, like for instance the third eye, the whole 9 yards, was there. You see what I'm saying? And as we move down into the physical gross matter, we began to lose all of that. Okay, especially with the white boy on the scene. See, that's what the white boy is here for. You see, this is one of the things I like to talk about. The white boy is here for one reason, as far as I'm concerned. You can only take yourself down so far. You see what I'm saying? But the white boy can take you down there even further. You see? And you need to go down there, just like spirit wanted to go down into matter, to the grossest matter, where it could learn the greatest lessons that it could learn. And then it rises up. And that's what's happening to us. And we look at it as something really negative. Well, it ain't good. You see, but in the larger evolutionary, picture, we can see that, it's going to help us. And what's going to happen with black people is that we're going to move to a whole nother planet. You see, eventually we will go to a whole nother planet. This is only a classroom. We will leave this plane. No, we will go to another physical level, but that physical level is higher than the physical level we're on now, because we're talking about centers of consciousness. Are y'all with me? Okay, and that's what we're talking about. And when we leave as a group, when we go through all of the 7 classrooms in this solar system, we will go to a whole new solar system that is higher than this solar system, but we will be at a lower state. It's just like going from grade school. You're a 6th grader, you made it to the big time. Mess around and go to middle school, now you're back down there again. But you're still at a higher state. And that's how evolution does.
Like when you go to college, you got to start all over.
Got to start all over again.
Right.
And see, the thing of it is that the problem people have with reincarnation in this society is this: the white boy's done a job on us. The first thing when we hear when reincarnation comes up, oh man, the cow. I don't want to be a cow. I can come back a roach. But evolution doesn't do that. It doesn't. It's just like a white boy. A white boy's never been black. You've never been white, because that's a step down. Right. You see what I'm saying? If anything, the white boy is moving up to be black. Not in color, but black, spiritually, right? All right? And so we're constantly evolving. So when we leave this plane, not plane, but as we leave this solar system, we go to this Sirius solar system, like I spoke about earlier. And then when we go through the 12 solar systems, then we go to another universe. All right? And then we go through the same processes again. Then we go to another universe. This keeps on going until God breathes back in and then sucks everything back up. You see?
Now, how does this relate to the possibility of other life forms, other galaxies?
I like that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Now, you remember, I said that we go from one classroom to another classroom. Now, some of us have moved to that classroom a little bit sooner than others, to that other planet. And before we go there are those, what we might call divas, who are there to bring us in. You see what I'm saying? All right. And then our brothers and sisters will help bring us in. That's why the ancestors is so important. All right? So they're already there. You got people on Mars. You get anywhere there's a physical, see, we're still dealing with the law of correspondence. See, if there were only people on Earth, the law of correspondence, we have to throw that mess out the door. You see what I'm saying? So, of course,
so that's why the planet is not able to sustain the physical body of us, but it's able to sustain maybe the astral and the mental.
Well, it depends on where the physical. Well, we could say that, but on the physical level, you see, if they are not able to accommodate us on the physical level, my point. Let me put it this way: Mars, Venus, all of them have a physical body, astral body, mental body, just like the Earth. Going back to the law of correspondence. So if they have a physical body, they got us. You see, so it's not necessary for us to be on the astral, going there. Now, where you go depends on, where we are in consciousness, and it depends on our lessons. It's just like when you get ready to reincarnate back on the physical plane. Brother C. Freeman Manel does this a great deal of justice. I'm gonna see if I can tackle it. When you get ready to come back down to the physical plane, you choose the conditions. You choose the conditions in which that will be beneficial to your karmic lessons, the lessons that you have to learn. You see what I'm saying? So you choose your mother, you choose your name, you choose that drunken father, the one you curse every day. And you say, well, I didn't have any say so about coming here. That's a lie. And so you create your conditions. So where you go depends on, what is most beneficial to you in terms of learning what you need to learn. It's just like trying to pick a class in college or high school. You try to get a schedule, try to figure out the best teacher, the best class, you know, fulfill your requirements. So it's the same concept, you know, when it comes to that. Let me do this. I hate taking this down because I might have trouble putting it back up.
Can I ask you something before you go on, please?
Yes, sir.
In reference to your chakras,
Mm-hmm.
I use movies a lot to try to explain stuff to myself.
Movie man.
Yeah, media. When you had a predator, he snatches your spinal cord. Is that representing someone snatching the chakras of
Kundalini.
Hey, you know what? I never thought about it, but it sounds good to me.
And it's funny you
You
said.
always go for your spine.
It's funny you
And
said
your
the predator too, because the predator had dreadlocks also.
Yeah,
If you notice.
That
And the
is
predator,
right.
not only was physical, they showed him with a machine, but they showed him how he can go from physical to astral and all this.
And he
Different things. And all.
Yeah.
You see, and if you notice in the movie, they put a lot of black people in the movie. Of course, they killed them early, and they got the great white
Yeah,
hope.
but
But still, yeah, it's dropping
his
signs.
ultimate predator was the black man, whatever his name.
I know you.
Yeah.
Carl something.
Danny Glover.
Danny
I was
The
thinking
second
about the
predator,
first
too. You
one.
talking
No,
about the
the
first.
second.
Okay.
Second was the ultimate in the black man, and then he showed himself as saying,
But-
we've been here all along.
But he did have chakras.
He gave him that old gun.
He gave him that old gun saying, we've been around all along.
All this stuff.
That's right. And he did have dreadlocks.